Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. In today's video we're going to make some homemade sprays using a variety of different products. These are mini misters which are readily available from most craft shops and they're ideal for creating small sprays out of. The only downside to these is I've found that they run out pretty quickly. The upside to them is they're very compact and you can make quite a lot of sprays up and carry them around with you if you need them to be portable. However, a cheaper alternative, and one that I found better for me, is to use these spray bottles. These are 100 millilitres, which is a good size for a spray and will last quite a while. And they're cheap as well. These I think I got 10 on eBay for about £6. It took quite a bit of searching to find clear bottles, and then after they arrived I discovered that my local Wilkinson's or Wilko's store sell them for 50p a piece. There is a little bit of preparation on both the mini misters and these bottles before you can use them for a spray, and it's not a lot. The first thing we need to do is trim the pickup tube. As you can see, this reaches right to the bottom of the bottle. For everyday applications that's great because you want it to get right down to the bottom so you get every last dreg. However, when we're making sprays with things such as acrylic paints or anything with mica in, you often get a sediment down in the bottom of the bottle and you don't want that to go up the pickup tube. So we're going to trim that off a little bit. And the easiest way to do that is just with a pair of scissors. And I like to take off about 1 to 2 centimetres and cut it at an angle. Just going to test fit it back into the bottle, and we have got about 1 centimetre's grace at the bottom, so if any sediment does settle, it's not going to cause a problem. The first products we're going to use to make our sprays are acrylic inks. These are quite heavily pigmented, so a little goes a long way, and they come in their own bottle handily with a little eyedropper. So it's an idea to give them quite a good shape to start with to make sure that they're well mixed up. I'm going to take our bottle. I'm going to fill it about 2/3 full of warm water. The reason I'm using warm water is it helps the paint or the ink to dissolve quite easily. I'm just going to squeeze the bulb on the end. And put probably 3 droppers full in this one. You can start with less and add more if you think it's not bright enough. Pop the lid back on and screw it tight and give it a gentle shake to mix it up. I prefer to shake my sprays like this rather than in an up and down motion, because if you've got the pickup tube in, any solids that are in there are likely to get jammed in it and it will eventually block your spray nozzle. So that's the first spray done. And I'm just going to test it out on a little bit of scrap paper just to see whether it's... Yeah, that looks quite good to me. I don't know if you can see that there. The camera is not really picking up the intensity of the spray, but it is quite good. I also find it useful to label my sprays so I know exactly what colour I've used in which spray in case I need to make any more. The next products I'm going to use are craft acrylics, and again I'm going to use the same process of filling up the bottles about 2/3 of the way full with warm water. And it's simply a matter of adding the craft paint to the water. It does help if some comes out. And with this one it's very difficult to tell how much paint you need. So it's probably worth mixing a batch up and trying it out, and then seeing whether you need more paint in the water or whether you have enough. You might have noticed that I mixed those up by putting my thumb over the neck of the bottle rather than putting the spray nozzle in, and that's because the acrylic paint is quite thick and could easily clog the pickup tube. So again, I'm just going to give these a bit of a swirl and a test spray on a piece of scrap paper just to see how they perform. And again, I'm quite happy with those. So it's just a matter of labelling them up and they're ready to go. If you want a bit of extra sparkle in your paint, you can use a paint that contains mica powders, and these are an acrylic paint. They're by Imagination Crafts and they're called Starlight Metallic Paints. They are very, very highly pigmented, but there's an awful lot of the mica powders in there as well. So we're going to do the same thing. So I'm going to fill it 2/3 of the way up with water. Again, I'm using warm water just to help dissolve the paints a little bit and help dilute them. These paints are quite thick, so I'm going to add the paint a little bit at a time using a spatula, and it's a case of having to be quite careful doing this, that you don't get the paint everywhere. It's a little bit more fiddly, but it's well worth it. And again, because it's quite a thick paint, I'm going to shake it up before I put the pickup tube in. You can see the amount of mica settling in that. You can add a small metal ball bearing, and that would just help every time you shake it up, because the mica will settle. It will just help it dissolve. It is important that you make sure that your small ball bearing is stainless steel, as ordinary steel can rust. It's immersed in water and it's a natural thing for it to do, and you really don't want that to happen. And they're quite vibrant colours. Once they dry, you'll get quite a lot of sparkle from those because of the mica powders in them. If you wish to, you can take your own mica powders and add them to a plain acrylic spray. You only need a little bit. Drop in a stainless steel ball bearing. And give that a good swirl round just to make sure all the mica powder's dispersed. And there's a lot of mica coming through on that. So once that's dry, that will go really quite sparkly. All of the sprays we've made so far have been acrylic based, and so when they're dry they will be permanent. The next spray we are going to use Brusho crystals. I don't know if you've seen Brusho before, but they're a crystal based watercolour pigment, and they're very, very highly pigmented. This one's ultramarine, and I'm going to do the same again. It's really important that you do use warm water, and you add the water first and then the Brusho crystals afterwards. If you add the crystals first, it will just turn into a mushy mess. And you don't need very much at all. And I've just put a couple of scoops in there. The warm water will help the crystals dissolve more easily. You can see very, very dark with just a little of the pigment crystals. If we give that a spray, you see that. Quite an intense colour from such a little amount of the crystals. You can add more crystals if you want it slightly darker, or you could use less if you want it lighter. Being a crystallised watercolour product, Brusho isn't permanent when dry, although it's not as easy to reactivate as you might think. It's a very interesting product, is Brusho, and I will be doing future videos about them, so if you're interested, keep your eyes peeled for those. I hope you found this video interesting. If you have, please hit the like button, and if you haven't already, please subscribe for more videos of this type. Thank you for watching.